Well, good afternoon then, everyone, as we are at the end of another week of trading on Friday, the 19th of April. Relatively quiet week in the economic calendar front. We obviously had last weekend coming into this week, the situation escalating out in the Middle East with Iran launching an assault on Israel. Israel then retaliated with that yesterday, attacking kind of airports and military bases, but it is kind of confined to that area at the moment. Oil's kind of been hacking around off the back of it, but not massive moves are kind of across markets. Off the back of that, there's obviously a bit to do with that, but obviously inflation from last week still firmly in the market's mind. And also when it comes to interest rates in the US, Jerome Powell kind of backtracked on his previous comments, suggesting that we are going to get those 3 interest rate cuts, and he's kind of bottled that one, hasn't he? Kind of agreeing with the market's pricing that we're not going to see those cuts, and it's pretty fair to suggest that we won't, and that is kind of confirmed what markets already knew. A bit of a choppy week in terms of UK data. The CPI on Wednesday, sorry, but the unemployment rate on Tuesday ticking up slightly above consensus, and inflation also slightly above consensus. Not a massive amount, but and into retail sales this week, consumer spending over the month of March, not great in the United Kingdom. Really, that's all we kind of got to go off in terms of economic data. This Chinese economic data didn't really manage to shake markets up. Growth figures strong in China, which was good. Industrial production down though, retail sales down, investment in the real estate sector and stuff up as well. So a couple strong, couple weak prints for China, but markets kind of have different things to think of over the course of this week. And you can see the way markets have moved. Equities have continued their trend lower. They are trying to bounce back at the minute. Maybe markets getting kind of tired of the fact, or used to the fact, that these interest rates are going to be higher. Maybe the negative sentiment from that is gone. Middle part of the week was kind of struggling to go lower. Obviously, there's a risk-off sentiment in play from the Middle East to begin the week, but certainly towards the back end of the week, markets not really wanting to push lower aggressively. Obviously, what happened last night got markets to spike lower, but then, yeah, I think people kind of saying what they said last week or on Monday, that maybe not as bad as it could have been, really. The market's trying to bounce back at the minute. Now, it'll be interesting to see how markets close up come the end of today. Do they manage to continue to rally? We have obviously got one US session left until we get to the end of the week. So the European session's been positive today. What did the US have to say? There's been a bit of selling at the open each day this week, so we'll keep an eye on that at 2:30 when we get around to it. But I think the close on equities will be important this week. If we get a positive week or positive end to the week, you might want to try and push higher into next week, depending on Iran's retaliation to Israel. I'd have to imagine there will be some, so that will be a focus into the weekend. Now, I wouldn't want to go hold any positions into the weekend. Kind of get yourself flat, or I would imagine the best idea is to get yourself flat, considering last weekend the Iranians decided to have a go, and yeah, I mean, judging by the timing of Israel back to Iran, you'd imagine this weekend will probably be an important one in terms of the situation escalating over there. It's been a choppy week on yields. Yields through the roof on Monday and to start Tuesday, and then back negative in yesterday's over the last kind of second half of this week. Yields overnight, US yields lower drastically, but that's kind of more of a safe haven play. So maybe a little bit of a tricky one to kind of navigate, but a bit of safe haven play in overnight. So I wouldn't read too much into those yields move lower. Yield moves lower, probably why they've had to reprice a bit higher in today's session. Oil kind of a bit all over the place through the lows on Wednesday, the support level we were looking at in these videos. And then completely retraced in yesterday's move, and now you're back lower again. So not really sure where it wants to go, to be perfectly honest, and I'm not too surprised when you think about it. The US dollar is at another strong week. It is likely to close higher across the majority of these pairs. Euro dollar has been relatively sideways, as you can see. Yesterday, or last week, should I say, pretty negative, but kind of struggling down these lows. Doesn't really know what it wants to do. Dollar doesn't want to know what it wants to do this week, but that is unsurprising considering the ongoing conflict. So I don't want to sell off, doesn't want to go higher across. It depends where you look. You know, you're Aussie Kiwi lower over the course of this week, but you'd have to imagine dollars are still bullish. Or certainly, my opinion is that dollars are still bullish. I wouldn't go chasing this move into the close, but yeah, a bit of a choppy week across the majority of major currency pairs and across the board, really in FX. But I still think the sentiment around the US dollar remains going forward. It's a very difficult week to kind of wrap your head around. Not much clear direction across the majority of major asset classes. Equities have kind of been the one mover, continuing that downtrend. And yeah, we'll see how the US open up at 2:30 for some direction into next week. But next week, bit of a difficult one to predict as of now, as we do have some geopolitical risk over the weekend. So certainly no oil positions, no equity positions, which I'd probably recommend don't be in any positions come the end of the week this evening. But I'm going to wrap it up there then. Not a massive amount of stuff to cover. It's been a kind of week where you talk about what's already been going on rather than new stuff apart from overnight tonight, or this morning, should I say. So we'll be back next week. Hopefully a bit more to go off. We do have US CPA or PCE, should I say, next week that we have to go off, and a couple of interest rate decisions which we will clarify once we get around to it on Monday. But have a good weekend, everyone. Do recharge the batteries, and we'll see you again next week for another week of trading. Have a good one.